Hello students, today we will study the chapter 4 of Snapshot, Albert Einstein at School. The writer is Patrick Pringle. Albert Einstein at School is an extract from The Young Einstein. The name of the book is Young Einstein, and an extract is a few pages are taken from this for us. The well-known biographer Patrick Pringle. Biographer, the person who writes the life story of somebody else. An autobiographer is the person who writes about his own life. Describes the circumstances which lead to Albert expulsion from German school. He is expelled from the German school. Einstein, at that time, Einstein, one of the greatest physicists who studied physics, had a very pathetic time at the school. He was in a very pathetic condition. Some teachers despised him, hate him, and he devises a plan to leave the German school. He planned to leave the school. So, in detail, we will discuss the chapter. Can't see any point in learning dates. The chapter starts with the conversation of history teacher with Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein's history teacher, Mr. Braun, asked him about the year in which the Prussians defeated the French at Waterloo. He questioned his student Albert Einstein in which year Prussians defeated the French at Waterloo War. Einstein replied that he had forgotten. Further, he could not see any point in learning dates, and Mr. Braun was amazed. He was surprised to know that Albert is not interested to learn the dates. Einstein did not believe in learning facts. According to him, learning facts was not education at all. He thought that ideas were more important than facts. Mr. Braun got very angry to know about this. He called him a disgrace and gave him punishment to stay in for an extra period. He asked him that you have to stay in the school for an extra period and you are disgraced to the school due to you cannot bring fame for the school. Einstein hated the atmosphere of violence. Albert felt miserable that day. He wished his father would take him away. He requested his father that he is not interested to study in this city and where his school is, and he is not interested to live in the city as he was living in a poor locality. He had to go to school again the next morning. His father was not rich, so Albert lived in one of the poorest quarters of Munich. Munich is the city where Albert came to study. So he lived in the poorest quarters of Munich. He hated the slum atmosphere of violence. His landlady beat her children regularly, and on every Saturday her husband, who was a drunkard, beat her. So Albert did not like the atmosphere of his area. He shared his pain with Yuri. Yuri was Albert Einstein's friend, who was his senior also. Yuri tried to comfort him by telling him about a fight between the students in which one of them was killed. Albert got disgusted after hearing the story. Albert asked Yuri that you are living in the uh, hostel, so hostel is better than this slum atmosphere. Then Yuri told him that there also you will face violence, and one student killed the another student and he was not punished. The authorities gave only warning. So he was very disappointed to know this. Einstein met his cousin Elsa. Einstein's cousin Elsa came to Munich. Einstein was doubtful about passing. He was not sure that he will pass his exams for the school diploma. He told Elsa, his cousin, she came when next time to Munich. Elsa tried to counsel him. She told him that she knew a lot of boys who were much more stupid than him, who are not very much intelligent in the study, who were much more stupid than Albert but got through. But they passed the examination. Einstein explained his helplessness by saying that he was no good at learning, that he cannot learn the facts or things by hearing. He was reading a book. He was not learning the things by heart. He cannot learn. He was reading a book on geology, which was not even a part of his diploma. Albert told that he was holding a book under his arm, and Elsa asked which book he was reading. Then he explained he was reading the book of geology, which was not the part of his diploma, which was not the part of his curriculum syllabus. Still, he was studying it because he liked it, because he liked the book. Apart from books on science, his only comfort was playing his violin. He was interested in studying science books, and other than science books, he was interested in playing violin. Albert's plan to get away from school. Daily, Albert was scolded by the teachers, so Albert decided to get away from this school. Albert thought that it was odd for him to stay in Munich. This is very odd thing that he came here to study, but he is not interested in studies. So this was very odd thing. It was no use wasting his father's money and everyone's time. He instantly got an idea. He asked Yuri if he knew a doctor. He wanted to get a medical certificate to show that he had a nervous breakdown and it was bad for him to go to school. So if he knows any doctor, he asked Yuri, who can give him in return that school is not good for him, it will affect his mental health. Yuri described that the doctor will believe Einstein. Einstein commented that he would have a real nervous breakdown to make matter easier for the doctor, that he will act like this, that he was having really nervous breakdown, some mental problems there, then it will be easy for doctor to write down. The doctor gives Albert a medical certificate. Yuri did the efforts for Albert. Yuri finds a doctor for Albert. Dr. Ernest Wade was known to Yuri, was friend of Yuri. He had recently qualified as a doctor. He had just completed his degree of medical. Yuri warned Albert against trying to deceive Ernest. Yuri already warned, make him alert Einstein that do not try to deceive Ernest. Dr. Ernest will. He told Albert to be frank. He asked, Yuri asked Albert that be frank with Ernest Whale as he was his own friend. Albert met Dr. Ernest the next day. Ernest informed him that Yuri had told him about Albert's trouble. Albert got disappointed because Yuri explained each and everything in reality, and now there was no scope for Albert. He feared that Ernest will not provide him with the medical certificate. So he was in fear. Now Dr. Ernest will not write on the certificate that he is not fit to join school. Ernest appeared to have understood poor Albert's condition pretty well, as he had just stopped being a student himself. Albert understood the condition because he has just completed his medical degree. Being a student of himself, as he was just passed the degree and just completed his student life, Albert informed him about his plan to move to Milan where his parents lived. Ernest gave him a medical certificate. Dr. Ernest Whale gave in written the medical certificate. Albert is expelled from the school. He got the certificate, still he was expelled from the school. Mr. Coach. Earlier we have talked about history teacher Mr. Braun. Now the another teacher is Mr. Coach. The mathematics teacher gave Albert the reference he wanted. Albert was very good in mathematics, so he wanted that his math teacher would write in written that he is good for studying math. Albert got summoned. Called. He was called by head teacher's room by the peon. Albert thought that he was going to be punished again for his bad works and laziness. So when peon came, he guessed that he will be punished because again and again teachers complained to the head teacher and head teacher always punished him. That's why he had already guessed. The head teacher told Albert that his work was terrible. Head teacher explained Albert that your work is very horrible, terrible, and he wanted Albert to leave the school on his own accord. He asked Albert that he should leave the school at his own, otherwise they have to give in written expulsion orders. Then he will not be able to get admission anywhere. So he was given the option that he can leave the school because teachers complained that when Albert is in the class, it will be difficult for the teacher to teach and other students to study. So head teacher was forced to give him expulsion orders. This way, the question of his expulsion would not arise. The head also told him that he was a nuisance in the class. He was a great problem in the class. Albert was tempted to say a few words, then thought otherwise. First he thought that he can tell the head teacher that what he thinks about his teachers in school, but then he decided not to speak about this. He had no regrets leaving the school. There was no uh, regret, feeling of sadness. He was not missing the school or the city. He only met Yuri before leaving. Before leaving that city and school, he was not feeling bad. He only met Yuri, who helped him and who was his real friend. Thank you, students. In the next lecture, we will discuss the textual as well as extra questions. Thank you very much.